Hey everybody, welcome to Trading Capital's daily live stream of the market open. Today is currently April 19th, and as we kick off the new trading session, first thing you're going to notice is the markets will be gapping down today. The dollar did pop, but it has fallen quite substantially from its high. So that's probably going to give the markets a near-term boost. The fact that the dollar was trading all the way at 102.23 and it's given up most of the gains is actually not that positive price action for the dollar. Needless to say, it still is holding up, and you might be putting in some near-term bullish consolidation. It's still too premature, but clearly the dollar is wanting to move higher, but it did get rejected off of that big resistance level that's kept us in check for a few days. But definitely pay attention, because if that dollar starts to move up, that likely means more pressure on the indices. Overall, the S&P is gapping down to 412. Basically, the buyable level on the day trade buyable level on the S&P is going to be around this 411 pierce. Let me just make sure that is the best technical level. Sorry, it's actually 410.75 on the S&P. 410.75 for a long trade on the S&P. I'll just put in that. That's our first little day trade level if we somehow get a quick flush within the first hour of trading. I do have a bunch of levels worked out for the gaps. Obviously, I put the levels in the... There we go. So obviously, I put the levels in the chat room for our members, but we're looking at an ISRG. So let me just flip through here. ISRG. We're looking at an ISRG short. ISRG is gapping up. Let me go to the daily chart for this, because it is a pretty big pattern. ISRG, the first level is 300.53. 300.53. Roughly there. Secondary backup level is 303.45. And the third is 307.87. We'll just call it there, 307.87. All right, so we have some short levels for ISRG. We're also looking at Netflix for a long. That is gapping down. Those earnings were actually pretty bad. I mean, obviously they beat on one aspect, but they missed on the earnings side. But when you look under the hood of Netflix, their whole subscriber base was it was slowing. It's becoming more stagnant. And believe it or not, on the daily chart, you did trigger this mini head and shoulders pattern over here. And that downside target takes us to, let me just take a look at my chart here. That actually played out in the intraday session. The downside target on that pattern takes you to about 307.32. So I'll just put that line in. Sorry, my chart is actually a little bit wonky here. But that takes you to 307.23 on that particular head and shoulders pattern. The buyable level, though, on Netflix is going to be around 300 is the first level of support. 300. Sorry, that's the smaller head and shoulders. This was the smaller head and shoulders that we triggered. But the buyable level is 300 or 300 even. Nice whole number. Just put it over there. And then the secondary level is 293.88. Pretty much this gap fill down here. Okay, so we have some two levels for a long trade on Netflix. If it goes down there, obviously it's quite substantially away right now. It's trading at 323.99. So it has a ways to go to get down there, but it still could be a valid level. We will watch that.
No, it's fine. That's because you messed up the order. those are supposed to be static charts, right?
We're looking at a Meta long. META is the ticker. Meta. The level I like on Meta, it is gapping down, but it is much, much lower. The long level on Meta is 207. Let's put a level there. 207. And that's actually a weekly chart 7-day moving average. So I like that 207. And it's also kind of this consolidation zone, your impulse breakout bar zone. So 207, basically 206.95. 207 Pierce is the level for a long trade on Meta. We're looking at WAL short, a WAL short. So Western Alliance is gapping up, and this has been one of a very, very weak regional bank. Basically, the first level I'm looking at is 45 for a short. Then we have a backup level around 47. These are just day trade levels, so try to be in and out within the first hour and a half. All right, we also have CDW, which reported earnings and is getting slaughtered at this point in time. CDW, believe it or not, actually triggered a head and shoulders on the daily. So you can see there, left shoulder head, right shoulder, a little sloppy, but definitely valid. And basically, it's actually already hit the first level that I gave, so we're going to go a little bit more conservative. 166, maybe even a pierce of 166. Now for CDW, let me just do a quick check here. It actually traded all the way down to about 162 in the pre-market. So let's just keep that in mind, that it actually traded all the way down to 162 in the pre-market. I'll just put a little bit of a line here just so that we know it actually did hit that. Now the volume is very light in the pre-market, so levels tend to overshoot, undershoot in the pre-market, but 166 is a decent level for a starter position. And then there, just keep in mind that it could retest the pre-market low at 162. So give yourself a little bit of dollar cost averaging room on this particular trade. And then Tesla, obviously Tesla earnings today. I think people are going to be taking profits. You are seeing it gapping lower. Closed at 184. It's now trading at 178. That is basically a difference of roughly, let's see here, 178. It's about just over 3% move, a decline down. Now, there is some long levels on Tesla. This one's just a day trade. I'm going to be in and out before earnings. I do not want to hold this. Basically right at that 100 moving average, around 171.70. 171.70. You can see on the daily it has that 100 daily moving average. And then the backup level for additional dollar cost average is 167.55. 167.55. Okay, so we have some trade setups, both on the long, both on the short side. And let's just pay attention to that dollar because it will be influential in what else transpires here. So there's the dollar. Nat gas is dumping out, actually. There's a decent level coming up on natural gas. It's pretty upsetting to see natural gas giving up most of its gains here. If you look on the daily chart, it closed back, or it's piercing that 50, and it's heading back to that support zone. There is a long level on nat gas that we can play, which is actually coming into it like right now. And the level is basically 234, 233.8. And if I simply show you the level here, it's basically in this vicinity here, hitting the support here at 232, 233. So if nat gas comes into that technical level, we can actually play it for a long trade via UNG. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. It is quite weak though right now, so we just have to keep that in mind. And it's surprising to see that it's so weak. People definitely pulling profits. And this is an options expiration, so don't take anything for granted right now because It's certainly wild out there in terms of price action. So nat gas is hitting first support. It should pierce this level. It should pierce this level. We may actually get a trade before the market opens here on nat gas, so just pay attention to it. UNG is a ETF to play on the long side of nat gas. UNG is an ETF. The dollar's under a lot of pressure again. It's absolutely fallen from grace. It was holding up very, very well, and it's just had a basically 2 hours of straight selling. It's really matching nat gas. Obviously, there is a gap fill all the way down to 221 on nat gas. The volume's increasing substantially. Get ready to go long nat gas, guys. Get ready to go long nat gas. I will be going long via the UNG. Sorry, but I'm just getting a phone call. My apologies about the sound. Spiders are getting a bounce off of the lows. Nat gas is getting a little bit of a wick. Didn't hit our level. It's a little bit lower, but I can see why it's getting a bounce there. It's right in line with that lower pivot range. Just missing a key fib level. 2 minutes till the market open. 2 minutes till the market open. So nat gas is bouncing, but it should come a little bit lower. It's still under a lot of pressure right now. Volume is picking up, which means there's buyers stepping in, but there's certainly a lot of sellers as well. So the tickers we're watching: ISRG, WAL, Netflix, Meta long, CDW long, Tesla long. But they're definitely well off of the levels for now. Alright guys, markets are set to open in 1 minute. Nat gas is getting a bounce. The reason nat gas is getting a bounce there, simply look at this pivot support. Still didn't come down to my technical level, but it is oversold. 3-bar hourly surge. You have a nice, pretty decent sell-off into a major pivot level, and it is bouncing right now. So let's keep the spiders open to see how things open. We're going to open in 30 seconds here. I'm just going to set this to the regular trading so we can see the gap down. Again, a long level in the spiders for 1072, and we are watching a variety of other names. So keep ISRG on the radar. That one might be a decent level. Netflix. Alright, markets are opening in 9 seconds here. 9 seconds till the open. Nat gas got a nice bounce. Alright, markets are open. They're falling lower. CDW is gapping over our level, so we're not going to touch that one. Riot Blockchain is under a lot of pressure. Spiders are catching a small bounce here. Netflix is seeing some distribution. Nvidia is catching a bid. Tesla's down 3, Nvidia's down 1.1, Amazon's negative, Apple's negative. Keep CDW on the radar. That one's testing the pre-market lows. I am prepared to go long here. Let's see if it can hit that 160 hold number. It's getting slaughtered right now. It is getting slaughtered. Spiders are still under pressure. This is a big support level. This is the pre-market low that it hit. Netflix is coming down still. Meta's under a little bit of pressure. Nvidia is dumping off. So CDW is catching a bid. Let's do an ISRG check. That one's almost at our first short level, so keep that on the radar. CDW is catching a nice bounce. Spiders are still trying to bounce here. Take a look at Netflix. Netflix is coming lower. Our levels are lower. Our levels are not even those green lines. Our levels are, Netflix levels are only around 300. It's quite a ways away. Quite a ways away. Doesn't mean it can't get there though. Keep ISRG on the radar. Tesla's still weak. Nvidia's catching a big bounce, so the spiders should have a little bit of a bid here. Dollar softening. Qs are getting a bounce. KRE is gapped up tremendously. Let's take a look at WAL. That one's still off our level. ISRG. CDW, if you took that, nice job. That's already decently having a decent bounce here. I still not in. Waiting for a little bit more downside. ISRG is interesting. Strength in commercial real estate. Strength in home builders again. Spiders are catching a big bounce here. Apple's still coming down though, so that's interesting to see. Nvidia is almost trying to go green. Qs are bouncing pretty well here. Bank of America is coming down. That's interesting to see. Bank of America is down a couple percent. So some of the banks are under pressure right now. Let me see if there's a long trade on Bank of America. It would have to get down to about 29.44 for a long trade on Bank of America. So keep that on the radar. 29.44. Tesla's bouncing, markets are bouncing. Netflix is still coming down, so Netflix is still very intriguing. Still acting very weak right now. Meta's having a nice bounce. Spiders are still trying to hold up. Nvidia is trying to go positive. VIX was just crushed down again. Keep ISRG on the radar. Keep ISRG. So ISRG is coming up here, guys, for a short trade on ISRG. It still needs a little bit more to go, but it is getting close. Netflix is still selling off. Nvidia's had a terrific bounce. Apple's bounced off of the lows. Microsoft, Tesla. Still a lot of underlying weakness in this market though. Keep ISRG on the radar. It's approaching that first. Let it pierce that 300. Nat gas has bounced, but it's still very, very weak. Let's take a peek at Disney. Disney's getting slaughtered right now. There is a gap on Disney that's kind of interesting. There's actually two gaps. Aggressive traders can play the first gap for a long. Wow, tech is the powerhouse. Tech is the absolute powerhouse stock right now. QQQs are pushing up, and the spiders are definitely lagging. Alright guys, I'm shorting ISRG here, 300.92, 300.92 ISRG short. That's a 1/5 position, and it's still pushing up even more here. 300.92. Markets are acting very well. Next entry is right around this 303.45. Markets are pushing up really hard here. Healthcare's lagging though. Alright guys, we're going to look for about 80 to 90 cents on this trade. 80 to 90 cents. Or even a buck is probably feasible. $1 on the trade. $1 on the trade should be feasible. Netflix is catching a bounce. Microsoft's kind of under pressure, pulling off of the highs. Just looking here to see if there's anything else. Alright, ISRG is pushing up even more now. 303.44 is the next ad level. Sorry, 303.45. 303. Spiders are back under pressure again. Spiders are back under pressure. Healthcare's weakening. Oil's weakening. Nat gas is still weak. Spiders are getting pushed back down to the lows, but tech is still holding up. So the Qs are definitely holding up here. We're short ISRG. We're waiting on Netflix. I also have CDW, which has bounced off of the lows. All right, guys, I'm covering ISRG here. 299.12, 299.12 cover. We are out of that trade. 299.12 for a nice little gain of about $1.79. Boom. $1.79 profit. I just had 100 shares there, but that's nice. All right, we can short this again. If it pierces the 303.43 level, 303.45. Let's do a check on Netflix again. That's had a bounce, WAL. Nvidia just went green. So Nvidia just went green. Definitely strengthened the semis coming back into play. The dollar is getting annihilated from the highs. So that's interesting to see. Microsoft just made a new low. Oil's under pressure. Healthcare's under pressure as well. Microsoft's coming back down, so the spiders are also weak right now. Look at that CDW again. That's still under pressure. ISRG. That was a nice reversal on ISRG. If you're still in it, you could have even banked more. Basically double the profits, but you can't be greedy. Let's do an Amazon check. Amazon's actually holding up relatively well. Big surge on Amazon. Let's do a Meta check. How's Meta performing? Meta's actually not at our level. We won't even check that right now. Tesla's not at our level either. So that one's off. So now we just wait. Now we just wait to see what transpires here. Do a Russell check because the banks are getting a pop. But Russell's starting to fade here. The Russell is negative. So it is starting to fade as well. Let's keep that on the radar. I am interested in shorting ISRG again, but it has to go much, much higher. Let's do that Bank of America check. Bank of America is still coming down. JP Morgan's weak. Regionals are kind of weak. Walmart, Costco. Nat Gas might be coming down for another round of selling. To just wait and see. So Russell is falling sharper now. Home builders are starting to come in. Commercial real estate is still acting well though. Netflix is still coming down here, guys. Netflix is still coming down. Spiders are hanging in there though. It's interesting to see that the VIX is not upticking in this environment, especially when the indices are down. Gold is bouncing off from the lows. That's likely because the dollar is weaker right now. Still positive. Still positive. Nvidia just went green. Nvidia is just unstoppable. So the spiders are still trying to act well here. Bitcoin's off of the lows. XLV is kind of weak. I do have a long level on the XLV, the healthcare ETF. Basically the long level is, let's see here, 132, 132.18 in around that level, 132.18. So if we got a flush down on healthcare into this 132.18 level, we can go long healthcare via the XLV. Notice this bearish consolidation is trying to break lower. Take a look at the spiders. They're still coming down. Riot's coming down. ISRG is pushing back up. Apple's now starting to weaken. Nat Gas is also starting to weaken. Another round of selling. So the Qs are holding support at this point in time. The Qs are holding a major support level. ISRG is coming up. ISRG, I will short ISRG again at a pierce of this 303.40 level. Okay, so 303.40 level. We can short it again. Ford's down quite substantially on the session, 3.6%. Netflix is down 4.7%. XPEV is down 9.13%. Let's take a look at that. That didn't hit the gap fill yet, but you can see it's bouncing off of this pivot zone. ISRG is starting to move up, guys. ISRG is starting to move up. Microsoft's catching a bounce off of a support trend line here. Netflix is getting a good bounce off the lows. KRE's reversed from the highs. Healthcare is still very weak. GE is still a powerhouse that's holding up very well. Dollar softening. Keep ISRG on the radar again, guys. I'm going to do a 1/5 position on ISRG. 1/5 position. Spiders are still hanging in there. Qs are really the stronger sector right now. Oil's getting kind of put under pressure right now. Gold is having a nice bounce off of the lows. Definitely impressive to see gold moving up that sharply. Banks are trying to bounce. China stocks like BABA are under pressure. Nat gas is coming back down again. ISRG is almost at that next short level, guys. ISRG. Nvidia is positive. Meta is trying to grind higher. Netflix is bouncing. Still weakness in Tesla. Still weakness in Amazon's actually pushing really well here. Alright, ISRG is hitting that level. Let it pierce this 40. I'm short ISRG 303.69. 303.69. That's a 1/5 position. Alright, and it's coming right back down. Let's see if we can get a buck out of this again. $1 would take us to... Alright guys, I'm covering here. 302.05. 302.05. Cover ISRG 302.05. That is $1.54. Alright, nice 2 for 2 on that. That was a fast mover there. That was a real fast mover. Alright, next level now on ISRG would have to go to a pierce of 305.05 or 305.06. So that was another 100 shares I had there. 305.05. Markets are seeing another round of selling here. Let's take a look at the spiders here. They're testing the lows. They are testing the lows. Let's do a quick check of the IWM because that is under pressure from some of the bank stocks and healthcare. IWM has a gap fill approaching. It is a buyable level, but you're bouncing before that, so I'd love to see it flush through that level, and maybe we can go along the IWM at 176.26. We'll keep that on the radar. Gold is having a huge bounce. The dollar's very weak. The yields are still positive. The 2-year yield's still positive. The long end yields are still positive. Market's having a pretty big bid here off the lows. Or sorry, the tech is having a pretty big bid. The S&P is not really catching a bid. Some of the crypto stocks are under pressure like Coinbase. IWM's coming down, so I might be interested in a long on the IWM. Spiders are trying to catch a bid here. Markets are pushing up, predominantly tech heavy. If you look at the QQQ, the Qs are way off of the lows as seen by this green bar, and it is holding this downsloping trend line. That's a big level of support. As long as you hold above that, you have a chance to move higher, but if you get a close below that, then the Qs will likely be a bit vulnerable. Microsoft seeing some more selling. Keep ISRG on your radar again, because we will play that on the short side. It's a very fast mover. I'm still interested in healthcare for a long. I'm not really seeing anything else yet. Let's take a look at this EXTR, Extreme Networks. No, I'm not interested in this stock. Natural gas is back under pressure. There is a potential to play natural gas basically back on the long side via UNG. Markets are coming back down though. So I am interested in playing nat gas on the long side again, UNG. I don't know the exact level that UNG is going to correlate with, but it's basically the nat gas pattern. And you can see the Qs are breaking down. So I'm still interested in playing nat gas if it hits these technical levels. Oil's coming back down, so that's actually going to be a positive for some of the airline stocks and market. Coinbase is down on the session quite substantially, over 5%. Obviously, crypto took a big dump. Seeing that CDW move up sharply higher. Probably should have traded that one, but hey, you don't get them all. Nat gas is still holding up. Qs are under pressure. KRE has had a big move. Meta is starting to come back lower now. Nvidia just went back to the negative side, just slightly negative. Just slightly negative. Microsoft just made a new low. Microsoft's exceptionally weak. So Microsoft, there might be a trade on Microsoft. Let me just isolate down a level for us here on my other screen. It's actually hitting some decent technical support right now. But the level I like on Microsoft for a long trade would be about 283.57 and 283.18. All right. $283.57 and 283.18. Levels only valid for the next 10 minutes on Microsoft. We'll keep that on the radar. ISRG, a big pullback. Spiders are still under pressure. Big pullback in ISRG. Spiders are still under pressure. Healthcare's had a good bounce. Natural gas is still holding up. The Qs are breaking that key trend line that I put in. So notice how this is the trend line of support for the Qs. If you lose that, you're likely going to test these low pivots at 315 and maybe even this impulse move at 314. Spiders are still acting very weak right now. GE is still holding up extremely strong at this point in time. Apple still has a pretty major gap around 165.30, 165.26. Gold has bounced tremendously here. Keep nat gas on the radar because that's still potential. Microsoft's getting a bounce here. Let's do a QQQ check. Notice how that support trend line is being held right now. Spiders are trying to bounce. The dollar just is softening a bit more now. Tesla's still down 2.6. Netflix has had a bounce off the lows. Schwab is actually remaining strong today. It is Options X, so lots of whippy price action. You saw Bitcoin take a big dump, then it had a big reversal yesterday, and then now a big dump again. It's just such crazy volatility. It makes your head spin. Big bounce coming in the Qs and the spiders. Big bounce coming in. Keep JP Morgan for on your radar for also a short at 142.85. There's a short trade on UAL at a Pierce of 46. A Pierce of 46. So keep that on your radar. More around like the 46.10 level or so. Spiders are still hanging in there. I'm still interested in nat gas. So via the UNG. So I have UNG on my other screen. And I am potentially interested in a long on UNG. It has to hit the level first though. Spiders look to be putting in some bearish consolidation on the 5-minute, very small time frame. Lots of top wicks, which means that there's still sellers lurking. And the spiders really haven't hit my technical level. When you compare the SPY, basically there is a downsloping trend line that gives you a hit around the 410.75 level. 410.75 level is a decent support trend line. So it still suggests that it could come all the way back down to this lower level here. And that might be viable. Nat gas holding up. Netflix is seeing another round of selling. Oil just made a new intraday low, so oil's under a lot of pressure this morning. That's probably the reason why airline stocks are getting a nice little boost as well. Obviously UAL also reported earnings and had a double beat. Not that much of an impressive double beat, but nonetheless still a double beat. XOM is under a lot of pressure, pulled off substantially from the highs. Spiders are trying to bounce here. Guys, I'm prepared to go long UNG. Get ready. Get ready for UNG. The 698 is pretty decent. Maybe one more little dip and we can go long. One more little dip. Come on. Let's see if we get one more dip. Natural gas is still under pressure. Apple's had a tremendous bounce, so it's bouncing the S&P. Healthcare's had a tremendous bounce. So you have a couple of the biggest sectors now. Tech is starting to get a bid. So is healthcare. Healthcare is actually trying to go positive, and it is positive now. Alright guys, I'm going long UNG if it hits 696. If it hits 696, I'm going long UNG. There's 695. I'm long UNG. I got filled at 695. Long UNG. It's a 1/5 position. Starting a position at 695. Nice little dip there. And it's doing a retrace of the bottoming tail, the intraday bottoming tail we got on nat gas. We're going to look for about 10 cents on it. See if we can get maybe even 8 cents. Actually, we'll look for about 8 cents on UNG. Alright, it's pushing up here. It's pushing up tremendously well here. 703 is the target. I'm going to put a trailer in if it gets above that level. Spiders are bouncing. Come on, UNG. One more little spike here. One more little spike. Come on, nat gas. Get your butt moving. Spiders are bouncing. Recapturing the short-term 5-minute moving average. Apple just went positive. Nvidia's back to the positive side. Microsoft's starting to get a big push. So the indices are moving up. The dollar's weakening. Oil's catching a bounce. Gold is trying to reclaim the positive side. Bitcoin's even moving up. Spiders are getting another wave of selling. Alright guys, put a break-even stop loss on UNG, 695 stop loss, a break-even stop loss so that we don't get caught if a downside move comes. I have a break-even stop loss at 695 on UNG. Dollar's caving right now. The dollar is actually about to go negative. The dollar is about to go negative. That is not healthy price action in the dollar, which means that we probably need to pick up some long trades here in the market. I'm just seeing here if there's any other opportunities. Oof, dollar is caving. The dollar is caving hard here. Might look at some oil plays. Oil's an interesting option via the USO. Kind of intrigued to go along the spiders too right now, but they're also selling off with the dollar. I find that very intriguing. I am eyeing up SPXL long. Netflix is having a tremendous boost. I know the GDX is starting to move up. Silver's also off of the lows quite substantially. Dollar is about to go negative. That is a hard sell on the DXY. Wow, what a dump on the DXY. That's Whipsaw Wednesday, Wild Wednesday. Many names for it. All right, I'm going to move my break-even stop loss up about 2 cents to in the money. So 697 is my stop loss now, 697 on UNG trade. I might be interested in a spider long here because the dollar is caving, and that should provide a little bit of a backdrop to the overall market. Let's do XOM's an interesting play too because it just went negative, but oil's catching a big bounce. So I'm going to go long XOM at let's see if we can get it a little bit more lower. 115.80 at the lows here. Actually, no, this is a decent level here. I'm going to go long 115.87 on XOM. 115.87 XOM. And just put a stop loss at the low here. This is our stop loss, 115.80. It closed below that. But it's starting to bounce now. And this is because the dollar's weakening. I want to get some long exposure. Dollar is weakening. I'm seeing oil rise. UNG is still hovering off of our level, but we're about 2 cents being stopped out. It's starting to move up now. Starting to move up now. Dollar just went negative. Stop loss on XOM is 115.80. Let's take a look at UNG. That's still trying to move up. In terms of XOM target, we're going to look for about 25 cents. 25 cents, the minimum. But oil's starting to catch a big bid, so we should get more than that actually. Let's see if we can get at least 39 cents on XOM. Basically in line with this pivot low here will be our first resistance. We should be able to do that with the dollar caving. You have to wonder why the dollar's falling so sharply here. Nvidia tech is starting to push up. The spiders are also pushing up. The dollar is negative now. Surprising to see that gold hasn't recaptured all of the gains yet, despite the dollar selling off tremendously here. UNG, it's hovering off our level. We're about a penny to getting stopped out for a small win. Spiders are moving up sharply here. Let's take a look at UNG. So we're about to get stopped out at 697 on UNG. Hasn't hit it yet. So XOM's pushing up, guys. Get ready to exit XOM. Spiders are pushing up pretty tremendously here. Alright, I just got stopped out of UNG at 697 for a small gain. 697 for a small gain. It's a 2 cent gain. $4,000 shares. Alright, XOM's pushing up now. All right, let's put a stop loss at 115.95 on XOM so that we at least lock in some money. So 115.95 95, just so that we can lock in some gains, because now I'm seeing the dollar catch a small little bounce. So we'll lock in at least 10 cents. It's a very minor move, but still, we'll see what we can get there. Nice push up here. All right, keep raising the stop loss now. I'm raising it to about 116.08. So I'm locking in about 20 cents, but the target I'm taking profit at is right up here, 116.26. See if we get one more little push up. We will exit there. I have 250 shares at this moment. All right, it's almost there, XOM. It's almost there. Come on, move your stop loss up to 116.16. 116.16, my stop loss is moved up, or I have moved it up. Come on, one more push on XOM. Let's see if we can get it there. Nat gas is still weak. All right, I just got stopped out at 116.16. That's a nice little profit though. Times 250 shares. That is a gain of roughly 31 cents. Times 250 shares. All right, let's go back to the drawing board here. I might be interested in playing UNG again, but we're seeing the Qs start to weaken now. And this is surprising because it's all on a weaker dollar. Very, very weak. Nvidia's back to the negative side. Apple's starting to roll. Nat gas is starting to catch a little bit of steam here. There's a long level on BABA at 91.65. It's the 200 daily moving average, but it needs to hit there in the next, say, hour or less. Oil's still starting to bounce some more. So that should help XOM. Keep ISRG on the radar for a short, still above 305. Netflix has had a terrific bounce. The spiders are starting to catch a nice little bid here off of the lows. They didn't quite hit my level, but we've banked quite a few trades here already. 1, 2, 3, 4 winners on the session today. 4 winners on the session. Volatility is getting sucked out again. UVXY is falling. Coca-Cola seeing some distribution. Tesla's having a nice bounce. Nvidia's back to the positive side. Netflix has had a tremendous bounce off of the lows. Nat gas is starting to bounce a little bit more now. So you can use this bottoming tail as a play if it retraces, and then just use a tight stop loss. You know, a 5-minute close below that bottoming tail stops you out of the trade. But we're now approaching that 10:30 time frame, 15 minutes away, where the volume should start to lighten up. And actually, today's volume is minuscule. It's nothing. Absolutely nothing. Qs are acting pretty decently today. The dollar is negative, or actually it's trying to bounce now, slightly positive. Qs and spiders are seeing another little wave of selling. Still holding up though. They have not taken out the lows, which is a short-term positive. So Qs are seeing another little wave of selling. Nvidia's back to the negative side. It's really just hovering, going positive, going negative. Tesla's off the lows, Netflix is off the lows. Apple's back to the negative side. Qs are coming back down. Dollar's catching a small bounce here. Dollar is catching a small bounce. You can see the Qs are weak right now. Spiders are trying to catch another little bid to the upside. Let's do a check on Roblox on my other screen. Spiders are still trying to push up and move higher. We're hitting some little bit of near-term resistance around 413. There's a little bit of a 10-minute intraday 7 moving average. So spiders are trying to move up. Apple's basically fighting the positive side. Not really seeing anything else here as of yet. You have some of the major cap tech like Amazon still holding on to positive gains. Nvidia's negative, Apple's negative, but they're just barely negative. They're still holding on. Copper's under pressure. Let me do a quick lumber check today. Lumber. So lumber's actually up on the session quite nicely here, 1.96%. So maybe that's an indication that the spiders and the Qs may remain negative today. But the volume again is not favoring the short side as we pass that 10:30 time frame. Just keep that in mind. The volume does not favor, not saying stocks can't go down, but just the volume is not favoring the short side past that 10:30 time frame. Spiders are catching a bounce here. cues look like they're trying to consolidate to move higher. So the dollar has rolled over, yields are rolling over. Basically the 2-year yield has pulled in quite substantially and it's back inside yesterday's wick high. Still positive. We'll see if we get more downside. Healthcare, that XLV is lifting this market and really insulating. Look at that move off of the lows on XLV. That's quite a rally. Let's do an IWM check. That's moving up because there's now strength in the KRE. So look at the KRE up 2%. And actually you're into this double top zone, which is an aggressive short. But nonetheless, it is a short. Aggressive shorts can take that first level. Conservative shorts take that level. I might be intrigued. Let me just see the spiders here to see how things are progressing. Just give me 1 second. All right, I am interested in 43.60 for a short. 43.60, 43.61 short on the KRE. It's risky because the volume trends are not going to be in our favor, but there is a level there to short. PNC check. All right, I'm shorting the KRE 43.62, 43.62 short the KRE. $43.62. I'm going to look for about 16 cents on the trade. 16 cents. So it's a 1/5 position. I have about 700 shares. We're looking for about 16 cents on this trade. Okay. Spiders are seeing a little bit of a wave of selling. The next add level on KRE will be 43.80. Short the KRE at 43.62. It actually went to 43.63, so you had an option. Spiders, heavy sell in the spiders. Heavy sell in the spiders here. Nat gas is also back under pressure. I might be interested in playing UNG for a long again. So keep UNG close proximity. It's coming back down to that 695 level where we originally entered. But the spiders are seeing another hard sell-off occurring as the dollar basically strengthens a little bit here. If UNG pierces that 695 level, I am potentially interested in a long trade again. It's piercing that level now. I want it to go lower though. 694, I get very interested. KRE is also coming in. Let's see if we can get some action on this. Keep UNG, it's at 696. The dollar's trying to push up. Alright, UNG's at 695. I want it a little bit lower. One little flush to 694. 693 would be ideal on UNG. It's back at 695 UNG. So keep that on the radar. 694, I will go long on UNG. 694. Alright guys, get ready to exit this KRE. We're about 3 cents away, 2 cents away from KRE. Alright, I'm going to move a stop loss now to basically this wick high, 43.54. I'm putting a stop loss in the money stop loss, about 8 cents on KRE. I want to bank profits. There it is, 43.46. I'm out. Cover 43.46. Alright, that's 700 times 16 cents. Nice little winner. UNG is still on watch, guys. UNG is still on watch. Basically 694 or lower. I will enter at 694 or lower. Spiders are catching a little bit of bounce. The dollar is, come on UNG, we're 1 cent away. Natural gas is under pressure. UNG should come down here. Get ready. Have that 694, 693 level ready because there it is. 694. I'm long UNG again. 1/5 position. 694 long UNG. The next add level after that would be 684 and then 674. So basically 10 cents lower. 10 cents lower. Natural gas is getting slaughtered though today, down 6.15%. Basically engulfing yesterday's price action. That is really not that healthy for nat gas. But you've had 1, 2, 3, 4 hours of consecutive selling. Spiders are pushing up. UNG is getting hit. Nat gas is getting hit. Spiders are pushing up. Look at that KRE rollover. That was a nice little rollover. So we've been pretty active today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're in our 6th trade now. UNG. You do have a 20-minute bottoming tail that's still technically intact on UNG. Wow, KRE is starting to dump a little bit harder now. Back to break even on UNG. In UNG, I'm looking for about 8 cents again. We should even be able to get at least 9 cents. Spiders are trying to push up. Qs are trying to push up. The dollar's also trying to. Maybe a little bit of an hourly bottoming tail trying to form on the dollar. Let's just see if we get a 30-minute hourly or 30-minute bottoming tail. As of now, it's very close. It's borderline on the dollar. It's borderline on the dollar. No, I'm not going to give it to it. It did not have a 30-minute bottoming tail. So we'll see if an hourly bottoming tail can form. For an hourly bottoming tail to form, you really need to get the dollar back above 101.82. But it's under pressure. Spiders are pushing back up. Oil has had a big push here. It's interesting to see XOM lagging. I might be interested in a long on XOM again. Let me just see here. Because oil's actually had a 4-bar surge. Alright, XOM at this level here is interesting. If it can tag this little moving average here, that would be a long level. Pierce of 116. Pierce of 116. It's bouncing now though. Bouncing now. Let's flip back to UNG. Gold has had quite a big move off the lows. Crazy price action here today. Nat gas is still under a lot of pressure today. All these gap ups, gap downs. In terms of sectors, green, financials and utilities are the only ones green. Every other sector is red. Real estate just turned green. So a little bit more green on the screen starting to appear. And again, big earnings after the bell for this market. Tesla is pretty big earnings. Spiders new intraday high, so very positive move in the market for the spiders. Oil's trying to have a big bounce and engulf a previous sell candle. So far it's looking like it will do that. Still just waiting on UNG. It's not really catching any love here. It's actually very weak right now. Dollar's still under a lot of pressure. It's very bearish price action on the dollar for it to be up quite substantially and then get rejected to go to the negative side. That's not typically healthy. Nat gas is seeing some more sell side pressure. XOM's getting rejected, coming in sharply. It's now piercing that 116 area, so it's because oil had a big rejection. So nice rejection on XOM. I'm no longer interested. If you look at the WTI crude, just had a big rejection after. It's looking very likely that it was going to engulf this candle, and it just got a big rejection there. Maybe that's going to signal that the dollar is going to bounce. We'll have to see. IWM still moving up. QQQ still hovering there. UNG or flat on that trade. I'm going to give it 5 more minutes since we've closed quite a few winners today. Excuse me, bless me. But the parameters for UNG, I'm looking for a pierce of $7 to exit, preferably 703 would be a nice little gain. Basically, I have ad levels around 684, 675. If it was to break this 675, or sorry, let me just see here. If it was to cut a close below 667, I would stop out of this day trade for a loss. So the cutoff is basically a close below this red here, 667. Okay, so I've given you the parameters, what my target is looking for. I have other ad levels, but basically anything between 8 to 16 cents on UNG is a feasible target. Be conservative because it is under a lot of pressure today. But on that note, congrats on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 winners. Bang, bang, bang. Decent amount of capital in our pocket today, and that's super healthy to see. especially since these markets are crazy volatile. But on that note, let's see if the dollar can recapture more of the gains that it lost. It is negative, so if the dollar can start to push back to the positive side, expect the markets to be under pressure. But at this point in time, expect with the lighter volume and the dollar softening that maybe there is a potential that these markets can grind and float higher. Thank you all for tuning in. Congrats on the trades if you took them with us. If not, there will be more around the corner. Definitely keep tuning in for our live streams, but it's been a very, very good day in the day trading room here, and we'll hopefully continue to replicate these results. On that note, we'll see you on the charts tomorrow, everybody. Take care.